Rebecca, welcome to the show.
Hi, Yara. Thanks for having me.
I want to jump right into it. Tell everyone a little bit more about your company, Our Reflections. And I mean, how did you even come up with the name?
So, our reflections started back in August 2019. I was on holiday and I'd ordered loads of clothes. And I don't know, I just tried them on and half of them just didn't suit me. They didn't fit me. They just looked better on the model than myself. And obviously, I was on holiday. So, those were the clothes that I was going to plan to wear. And obviously, when I got on holiday, I was disappointed. And I was speaking to my dad the next day, like around the pool, and I just said, imagine if there was an app or a website that you could virtually try on clothes that you liked online. Because obviously, I love going shopping to shopping malls and things and going in store to try on clothes because I think it's a great way of shopping. And I know in England, especially, physical fitting rooms are so popular. So then I did like some research and realized I wasn't obviously the only person having this problem. There were like hundreds of thousands of other people as well. And how has nobody come up with this idea before? Somebody must have thought about it. So I contacted like this innovation company and I said to them about it and they said, it's a great idea. Haven't seen anything like it before. So that's kind of how I started off. I guess the real push for me to start my own business probably came from the fact that I left college about 6 months before I came up with my idea. And obviously I didn't know what I wanted to do. All my friends were either going to uni, were getting jobs, and I was going to take a gap year because I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I was like, okay, well, I don't know what I want to do, but I've always said that I wanted to own my own business. Maybe this is now my opportunity. But that's kind of where my whole idea and how I grew my company, Our Reflections. So Our Reflections took about a year to develop and it launched on the Apple App Store in September 2020. And then I guess the name kind of comes from, I wanted the app to be a reflection of yourself. So then when you try the clothes on before you purchase them, they're going to look exactly the same as when you try them on when you receive them from online to your house. So that's where kind of reflections came from. And then I Googled the name reflections and it's linked to it's religious and mindfulness word. Then I put the R in front of it because obviously Rebecca, I thought if I'm going to do this, I might as well make it personalized to myself. And so that's kind of how I put the R reflections. And I just found that it actually really flowed. So I kind of just stuck with it, to be honest.
I agree with what you said. Why hasn't this yet been created? Because virtual reality isn't such a new thing.
Yeah.
Things like Snapchat filters and Instagram filters, like that's all virtual reality. So there's definitely companies out there creating these things, all the virtual
Yeah.
reality headsets and whatnot. The fact that someone hasn't jumped into the fashion space blows my mind because
It's crazy,
even
isn't
just
it?
the amount of money saved logistically, and that's from a company standpoint of people sending back returns, people, like, just ordering a ton of clothes and sending them back, and the
It's,
amount of time a consumer saves, it's
yeah.
insane.
It's also the environmental as well.
Exactly, the sustainability part of it.
Yeah, it's just crazy. And I didn't realize any of this. And I don't think many people realize the sustainability impact until you start researching it. Because I must admit, I definitely didn't know.
Gross.
So obviously, when I was researching it before I even created the app and before I even started designing the app, some of these statistics really did shock me. And as a consumer, you don't realize until you actually put time and effort in researching them.
I know. I wanna ask you, so you were in college and you just felt like this is not the move, like, this is not where I should be, and so you left and you were like, "Okay, I'm just gonna leave, not spend money doing this anymore, and then figure things out." What did your parents think about that?
Well, in the UK, we go to school till we're 16 and then we go to college. We go to college only for 2 years and then we go on to university. So my college was kind of like a stopgap to know what I wanted to do. Personally, I was never academically smart. I would have preferred to do like art, textiles,
Mm.
PE, quite a sporty person. I preferred the more practical subjects rather than the academic subjects. So I guess college and school weren't really for me on that side of things. And I think obviously teachers picked up on it in the college that I went to were very much university focused, although they cared what I was going to do. But I kind of just left on my own accord and just decided actually I'm going to have my gap year. And everyone was like, you've got to choose what you want to do. You can't just have gap years for the continuous of your life. I said, I know that I'm only young. At the time, I had a part-time job when I went to college as well. And that was a swim teacher. I loved it. I found it so rewarding and I made great friends. And I just thought, "Do you know what? I could do this full time and then I could save up money and go traveling." But then obviously my gap year was cut short because of COVID, and traveling was then no longer an option. But then, yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one, but I definitely don't regret not getting into a career, and I definitely don't regret not going to uni.
So what I'm curious about, obviously, you're a founder, you're a CEO now and an entrepreneur. So you're coming up with the idea, but there's a lot of parts of building an app and a company that you have no idea. You're not a
Yeah.
developer. So what aspects do you find within your company do you bring to the table, and what aspects that you were like, I have no idea how to do this. I need to hire
Yeah.
people.
I mean, I must admit, software, obviously, I went to college, I did IT, but we learned how to build games. We didn't learn how to like code anything. Like, I'm not some sort of genius who knows how to code. So, obviously, that kind of technical and the technology side of things I found hard. So, obviously, myself, because I'm unable to do it because I didn't go to university. I hadn't had any career experience. That was probably what I found hardest. The rest of it, like the marketing, social media and things, I kind of just learn on the job. And most of the things like press releases and things, I feel like at college, you don't learn that sort of thing. It's more like an experience. So when I first launched my app in September 2020, I used Google so much. I just used to
Google
fish on
University is
Google.
the best.
Google, yeah, it's literally so good. And you just meet these other people on these chat forums, and you just listen to how they got on and what worked for them. And to be honest, I trialed and errored the whole thing right from start to finish. I still am now. I think what I found really useful is actually like Facebook business groups, and then also like business webinars and things. And that's where I learned most of my skills and how to grow my company, obviously, because I was only 19 at the time. I had no career experience. And I think looking back on it now, it's quite crazy because every contact that I've had or got and made, every press article, every podcast, everything, I've just achieved myself and I've got those contact details. So in a way, I'm so grateful because I can look back and think, actually, I've got all of this because I made those. You know what I mean? It's
My question to you, when you first came up with the idea, you're sitting around the pool with your dad and you're like, this is my idea. Like, I need to build this. What were the next few steps?
to be honest, it was all a very big whirlwind. This all happened within the space of about 3 weeks.
3
So
weeks?
3 weeks. Yeah. And I mean this. Yeah. And I just, people think to me, you mean, and when I say three, they're like 3 years. Yeah. 3 months. No, 3 weeks. It was crazy. So the first kind of steps, I came up with this idea. I researched on my phone, like local innovation companies, because I didn't want to go to uni and study software. And I thought it's going to take too long. I need to act on this idea fast before anyone else does. So that's when I kind of contacted an innovation company. And from then on, I requested like an information pack, which I got sent to my house whilst I was on holiday. So then when I returned from holiday, it was waiting for me. And that's when on holiday, I then undertook some research about the sustainability side of the fashion industry in general, how to set up a business, how to register a business, and all the kind of like the admin stuff that goes into business. And then I kind of, when I got home, I had some forms to fill in for the software company, and they asked about my idea and basically just a general overview. And obviously, I had to get images over and things. That's what I kind of did. And then I met with them 3 weeks later from having the idea. And that's kind of when we sat down and it was like, right, so do you want to
Go
create this
time.
app? Yeah, and I literally remember sitting there with my dad, and even he said, like, this was an idea. We didn't really expect it to go off so quickly. And from that point on, in that same meeting, we were designing brand colors, logos, features. And that is from that meeting onwards, that was when the prototype was created. So from having the idea to the prototype being created was 3 weeks.
That's insane. This program and company and like innovation hub is pretty cool. So it sounds like they have a team of developers, probably product people and marketers.
Yeah, definitely. So I have like a project manager,
Mhm.
and then I have a software developer who obviously does all the coding. So I contact the program manager.
And then they handle everything within the
They
team.
handle everything within the software developing. And then I handle all the social media, press, marketing, admin, everything else.
You make it sound so easy.
I wouldn't quite say easy. I mean, I'm the only person in my company, so I literally do everything.
Everything. With that
Yeah, correct.
innovation
Yeah.
team, do you pay them or is it like do they sponsor you? How does that work?
No, so I paid them to create my app for me.
Yeah.
It's like a one-off fee, and then obviously, then I can update it as and when I would like. So I've just paid out to have a web app version of my app, which retailers can integrate into their website. Because I
Mm,
was speaking to some larger brands in the UK, and they'd prefer to have my app obviously on their websites
yeah.
rather
White
than
labeled.
getting their customers to come off their website to go back on their website. They're trying to get drive as much traffic to their website as
They wanna
possible.
buy the
So by
software.
Yes, so by being able to integrate the software into their website is easier for them, but also more effective for their customers.
Right. Before I start getting my little curious monkey brain going about everything to do with like supply and demand and consumers, because I will do that. I'm like such a
Yeah.
curious monkey. I want to talk a little bit more about you.
Yeah.
Any imposter syndrome at the beginning? Or
I
were
mean,
you just like tunnel vision and ran with it? Because it seems like, given how quick you got off the ground,
yeah.
I think people, like you said, are shocked by that. But you were like guns a
Yeah.
blazing by the sounds of it.
Think it was probably when I launched my app in September 2020. I never looked back until that moment when it
Mm,
was finally on the Apple App Store. And that's when it really sunk in and hit me that actually I haven't. That was when it sunk in. And then I think the second realization was when obviously I was an entrepreneur, was when I had BBC. Do you know BBC South Today? It's like part of BBC News.
okay.
I got interviewed for BBC South Today, and then obviously BBC News as well. And they came to my house, and that was when it really sunk in.
What did your parents say? They're because you're still living at home, so they're like, all
Yes.
these news people are coming to their house, they're like, "Wait, what's happening?"
Yeah. No, that's the thing. They were all out of work, but do you know what? And I think that's when it really set in, like, because I'd never experienced any of it
Of
before.
course.
I have my own privacy and I'd never been in front of a camera. I'd never had any experience. I'd never, hardly ever been interviewed. I mean, I was fresh out of college. I only had one
Yes.
job, and to get my
No
part-time
one knows
job,
you exist.
yeah, exactly. And then to get my part-time job, I didn't exactly have an interview, It
Yeah.
wasn't your normal things. And yeah, nobody knew who I was. But then as soon as these camera crews started turning up, I got really nervous. And I think that's when it really sunk in for me.
Right. What angle were they coming at? Were they more impressed by the type of company you were developing, or were they more impressed by your age and gender and launching a company?
I think theirs was obviously me, my age,
Mm,
how I managed to do it at such a young age. And then obviously about what I've created, because
mhm,
not many obviously women are in tech and are founders of tech businesses. I mean, there are a few other like virtual clothes fitting rooms, but more like advanced tech ones created by like males. But obviously their version and my version are totally different. I guess because we have different shopping styles and
mhm.
we're different ages. These men are businessmen, they're a lot older than I am. And
Mm.
that's what they do. That's what they've done for a living for the past 25 years, whereas I've not even done this for a year yet.
Talk to me about some of the harsher feedback you've gotten, maybe from people who probably say like, "Who do you think you are being in this tech space?" Or have you gotten any conversations or
Yeah.
feedback like that?
I must admit, I've had a few things about my experience. Obviously, because I'm only 20, it's big risks and I understand that. But if you're not willing to take the risk, then how am I ever meant to gain this experience if I'm not given this chance? And this is what I can't understand in my head because I'm young. I've got new ideas. I'm creative. I've got all these ideas. And yet somebody who's, say 50, a man, and has this tech company, yeah, they're using state of the art technology, but if people can't download it on their smartphones or tablets, what's the point in having it? Surely, and in my eyes, you want something easy to use, like an iPhone. It's easy to use. Millions of people have them. User friendly, it's cheap, and pretty much it's accessible to anyone.
Mhm.
That is what people are looking for. But obviously, that's what I believe, being the younger generation. But the older generation and who people who are in these retailers would prefer higher technology. Some would, some wouldn't. But what I mean? It's just
But
so
that's not a
hard with the
direct to consumer
experiencing.
product. Like, this type of product is direct to consumer. You want people
Yeah.
using it as they're shopping.
But also, I think I'm the perfect target audience for
Of
online
course.
shopping. You know,
You're
I
Gen Z, you
must
know
admit,
exactly what everyone else that's shopping wants.
yeah, exactly. And I think the younger generation are going to be the future of online shoppers, you
Of
know,
course.
and I just feel like sometimes I understand that I'm young. So I may not have gone to uni, but what I've learned so far has developed me so far and so much as a person in these past 10 months that in a year's time, I'm sure I would have gained even more experience. I've worked with small brands. I've got experience. I won a business award in San Francisco on a global award. I've just been shortlisted for the NTAs in the UK, a National Technology Award. I'm winning these awards and it's like I'm trying to gain this experience. But also, some people say you need more experience, but won't tell you what experience you need.
Or won't give
So
you a
then,
chance to have
yeah,
experience.
yeah, exactly. And it happened to another retailer. I was literally, they'd chosen to go with this other tech company. And I said, yeah, no, that's fine. Like, but I couldn't see on theirs where the online shopping bit was. I saw it more for in store. And I was like, that's fine. But do you want me to help you back up and cover the online market? But I never heard back, and I understand probably wasn't going to get a reply. But I thought the whole virtual reality thing is focused on online, not in store, because people can use physical fitting rooms. And just, it's so hard because obviously most people are going to take somebody more seriously if they've got 25 years experience rather than 10 months. I got a startup company that's trying to get off the ground. You know what I mean?
I
It's
do.
hard, but
It's interesting to me what you just said. They question you taking the risk, but at your age and your situation, you have nothing but risk to take. There's nothing can go wrong. Like whatever goes wrong, it doesn't matter. You don't have dependents. You don't have a mortgage to pay for. You can
yeah,
run and do whatever you
yeah,
want
this
because
is
if
the
everything
thing.
fails, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and
You're
this
in the
is the
best
thing.
position for risk right now.
Yeah, and this is the thing, like, I've been trying to understand that, and for me, that's the hardest thing that plays in my mind is why? Nobody has said why. They always say you need more experience, but that could be experience in life, that could be experience in marketing, that could be an experience in social media. I don't know, and that's the worst thing, I think, not knowing, and I actually spoke to one retailer and I don't know, I think they looked down on my age or something because they said they acted like it was a massive game. It was really weird. So they literally, Dragon's Den.
Mhm.
Yeah, they said they weren't going to go any further. And then they did that Deborah and Meaden thing and they turned around and said, so unfortunately, I'm out or something. You know, that little
Yeah. I
catchphrase that
watch it
they
all the
use at the
time,
end.
exactly.
And I thought that's a bit muggy in a way and a bit disrespectful just because obviously I'm trying to make something of myself. I've gone out the way. I'm not working for a large company. I'm trying to make my own global brand. And I took it quite personally, which
I
I
would
believe
have
many
too.
people would have. But
I
that's
think
the
they're almost
only
making a
thing.
mockery of it.
Yeah. And that's the only thing that's kind of negative, I would say, about it.
Mhm.
But yeah.
What positive support have you gotten so far? And is there a correlation between who you're getting it from?
Yeah, I think I'm getting a lot more from like female, mainly in larger retailers, even smaller retailers. Female founders are the people
They get it.
because they know what it's like. They know what it's like to be a gal. They've shopped online, they've shopped in store for since ever they were a teenager, a young girl. Like, they know. And I think it's mindset as well. We see things in different lights, and maybe because obviously they know the challenges that they've maybe faced in life because of their female or whatever. But I do see there's a massive difference between the people that are in tech and the genders that are in tech at the moment.
And the problem that I sense from that is the people who are eventually going to be the investors for your company are probably the males, right?
Yeah. And I think these other companies are bigger because they've got the foundations, they've got the security, they've got the financial backing, and these people have the money and they're doing what's needed in the market. But obviously, you don't know if they have, I'm not saying that they don't, but you don't know how well they know the clients, the customers, the wants and the needs. Whereas I built my app to try and solve a problem and I will
For
stick
you.
by that. Yeah, to solve a problem that I was having and millions others was having. I know what I was facing and I know what I would like to achieve within the online clothes shopping market, and I know what the market needs due to experience and obviously feedback and things like that.
Yes. So, besides having certain types of people not believing in you, what else has been hard?
I think that hard, like, emotionally, because obviously before all of this, before this whole journey started, I remember even before COVID, I was going out for lunch, I was going out partying. I was pretty much a free spirit. Since
You're
I left
20
college
years
in
old.
March
That's what you should be
2019.
doing.
Yeah, like I was a free spirit. I was going on holiday, meeting out with friends, family, anything. But now I feel like since I launched my app, that kind of hit me was like, whatever I put into this, I will get out. So if I don't put in a lot, I won't get out a lot. Whereas I know that I want to become successful and I want to make my company a globally recognized brand. So I know that obviously I've got to put the work in. But I guess I was a bit naive in a way because when I first started and I first launched my company, I thought it was going to be easy. I thought it was going to be you'd launch it, everybody would want to download it. But I think that's when it really hit me. It was kind of hard in a way, like adapting to it, because I do class it as a baby. And I know it sounds weird, but it is. It's my
Mhm.
small baby that I want to grow and grow and grow. And then hopefully blossom into other companies as well and make sister brands and things. But obviously, and not everything happens overnight and these things take time. And I think for myself, I was a bit like, disheartened in a way because I would literally work like 60-hour weeks and then wonder to myself, why isn't this working? Why am I not getting anything back from it? And obviously, whilst I was still learning on the job as well, sometimes, you had great days, you'd achieve BBC News, you'd achieve an award, but other days, other weeks, you wouldn't get anywhere. So I think for me, being so young as well, I'd never experienced these like emotions either because again, I had lived a carefree life. And I think it hit me all of a sudden. But again, I wouldn't change it for the world because, like I said, in these past 10 months, I've learned more than I ever could have going to school for 16 years of my life.
Amen.
Emotionally, physically, my confidence, I would never, never, never have imagined speaking to random people on Zoom and being interviewed by random people. And I just look back and think how far I've come
Mhm.
in this journey, and it's only been 10 months. So I'm actually looking forward to
What's
the
10
rest of,
years look
yeah,
like?
what is 10 years look like? It's draining, you go through a lot of emotions. I've experienced things that I never thought I would and emotions I never thought I could. But again, I wouldn't change anything for the world because this is my journey and this is what I want to achieve. And I'm determined to become a successful, globally recognized brand.
And entrepreneurship is the scariest roller coaster you'll ever be on.
Yeah.
The
I
highs are high and
Yeah,
the lows are
and
real
the
low.
lows are low. And also, I find it quite lonely sometimes as well, like, because
Mhm.
obviously everybody's going to uni, they've got their uni friends, they're going out a lot, and you just look at that lifestyle and it's like, I could have had that lifestyle, I had that lifestyle, and then my life literally did a 180 flip. And all of a sudden, I've changed. Monday to Friday, I work. Even Saturday and Sunday, sometimes I work. I always found that when I launched my company, whenever I was at home, because I work from home, I would have to work. So I find it really hard to switch off. And again, that was another hard thing for me because you're just constantly at home and you think, whilst I'm at home, well, I should be doing work. When actually that's not the case. I can't remember the last time where I sat down and watched Netflix for more than 30 minutes.
'Cause you're just like, "If I'm just gonna be home, it's just well to keep building this company."
Yeah, if I'm at home, I need to be working. And for ages, I could never switch off. So I just remember literally, I was so tired. I literally used to wake up at like 6:30 and go to bed at 11:30. I was doing that the whole time. I just got myself so worked up and so worked out. And it's just the hormones as well. Like everything was just getting too much. So I realized then, and I'm slowly learning that when I'm at home, I don't have to be working. Again, it's going to be a long road, but we're trying.
I don't know if you're similar to me, but I hit burnout very easily,
Yeah.
like, really easily, and it will take me out for days.
Mm.
So, I completely empathize with what you're saying, where if I'm home and nothing's going on, why not just keep working? But even if you just move to a different side of the room and then watch Netflix instead or
Yeah.
read a book just to decompress your brain a bit, I find the next day I'm a lot more
Yeah, no,
productive.
100%. And I just find, yeah, I get so stressed as well because, like, again, at the start and still now, like, I find it hard to accept achievements and I find it hard to process those achievements. It's almost like, right, I've got that achievement, I'm on to the next. I find it hard to not celebrate, but, process them. I'm always living in the future, not in the moment. So I don't really give myself the chance to be like, actually, Becky, you've achieved this. Like, that's a massive achievement. You need to take it in for a while, you need to celebrate it and then move on. Whereas I'm like, right, next thing, and I think that's another hard thing because also you're so stressed and I put all this pressure onto myself. And then all of a sudden it's kind of a bit like, wow, like you've got to chill out. And that's when obviously I haven't suffered like a massive burnout, I must admit. There's a few times, I guess, in October and a few times like back in May time where I was quite stressed. But yeah, those are my two kind of occasions where I've been like, yeah, I've got to take time out. Otherwise I'm going to get ill here.
I know you said, like, I always knew I'd wanna start my own business, but before you came up with your idea of this company, what other ideas did you float around in your head?
I literally had none ever since I started probably secondary school. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to have my own business. I knew that I wanted to become successful. And I guess that's also because I had a few negative comments from teachers at school and college, and just the normal negative comments about, if you don't attend, you won't ever get very far. You can't just do art all day or you can't just do sport. And I dropped a few subjects, obviously college and school actually. And I just wasn't interested. I fell out with a few teachers and they literally just used to say, you're not going to do very well. You're doing a BTEC. And it was just all this negativity was just too much for me. And I just thought, you know what? I don't need to be told that I can't achieve this because I remember we did this thing when we went round in college and each student went round and said what they wanted to do. And I said, obviously, that I didn't know what I wanted to do, but all I knew that one day I wanted to have my own business. And a few of us said this. And what the teacher said to each one of us, like, you won't get very far because you don't put in effort and all of this. But it was like, we are doing the work, whether it be in our own time or at college. And it's like, you don't have to be this great student. I still got the grades that I was always predicted, but I just didn't do it in college. I did it in my own time. And yes, maybe I should have attended more, but I still got it done. It just wasn't for me. And obviously this negativity, why would I want to turn up? And I think those harsh words, but looking back on it now is I'm doing this for myself, but also it's kind of a massive kick in the teeth for everyone else who's doubted me in the past.
Yes.
Because it's like, what student of theirs would have achieved this within 2 years of leaving college?
That narrative that you're describing, I think, happens over and over and over again when teachers see students not abiding by their rules. They think
Yeah.
they're a failure, and it's like, no, that student just wants to do things differently than what you're
Yeah.
teaching and preaching right now.
Yeah,
And it's like it's either
100%.
this way or no way.
Oh, 100%. And my college was very heavily uni focused. And if you
Yeah.
didn't go to uni, then you're basically like a failure. And there was a few others. There was about 8 of us. And actually, looking back on how far we've come, some of them went on to uni. A couple of us have got our own businesses. Somebody's running like manager positions and things. And you just look back and you think, actually, just because we didn't abide by your rules, just because we didn't necessarily turn up, just because, we wanted to do things our way and we knew what we wanted to do and we knew how to get there, it's kind of like we still can achieve these. I think lots of children face it nowadays growing up in school and college and the negativity.
Which blows my mind though, because we're in such a different world where you can be an entrepreneur very quickly with the online world we live in. You can
Yeah.
make money, like there's kids making money through YouTube channels and everything.
Like
And
Fortnite, for example,
yeah,
video games, TikTok, you can make mega money and
I
it's
agree.
crazy.
And this linear path that teachers and schools are still preaching does not work. And it does
Yeah.
not work for everyone, you know?
That's the thing, is it just lacks creativity, like creative subjects. I mean, I've never seen a subject for like social media. How to
Never.
become like an influencer or social media marketing. You never see anything like that. But again,
Teachers and
it's,
schools would laugh at that.
yeah, exactly. Because it's not
Traditional.
educational. Yeah, it's not traditional. Whereas actually in today's world,
Very educational.
what is traditional? There's a whole range of new jobs
Mhm.
that, if you want to do it, fair enough, you want to do it. But just because it's not your first choice doesn't mean to say it's not someone else's.
Mhm. So you've been kind of on the entrepreneur journey for the past 2 years now. How has your relationships with friends and family changed over the last 2 years?
To be honest, I haven't had very many family, but just because we have like quite a small, tight knit family anyway, so everyone's been like super supportive. Friends wise, I've still got all of my friends I had. I do rein in my friendship circle just a tiny bit, just because I want my true friends. I think when you get to an age as well, I think it's quite nice to rein in and refine your friends. So friends that you can really rely on and that will support you rather than having fakeish friends who don't really. So I think I've still got quite tight knit groups, which is quite nice in a way. I mean, I haven't been able to obviously before I just used to be able to text mate, do you want to go out or do you want to go and do this? But obviously now I've got more responsibilities. So it's kind of a bit like don't see my friends as much. But again, I wouldn't change it because when we do spend time together, it's quality time because obviously they're also working either 9 to 5 at university and things. So I think in that respect, our lives are kind of similar because we can't meet up every day.
And do you find that you have new sets of friends, whether it's other entrepreneurs that you're talking to within the space or just building different connections?
Yeah, do you know what? Actually, recently joined this like an entrepreneur startup hub. It's where actually my software developer is located. And they basically meet for coffee at this like entrepreneur hub place in Salisbury. So I went along and that was quite cool just to meet other people in the same position as I am. They've got startups. And although they were in completely different industries, it was so nice to finally meet people because people my age, I don't know anyone is in the same position as me and going on this entrepreneurial journey. So when I speak to my friends about it, they're very, very supportive, but they can't relate to what I'm saying because obviously they've never been through it. So, and that's the whole reason why I wanted to join these connection groups because obviously where we've been in lockdown, there hasn't been any. So this was kind of my first opportunity to be able to actually go and meet up with new people. So that was actually really lovely. And I was a bit nervous to start off with, but they were so lovely. And I would definitely recommend it to anyone.
And you can share so much knowledge. Like you're about to walk into the shoes they've already walked through. So they
Yeah.
can easily tell you, don't do it like this. There's a lot of
Yeah.
great advice and mentors in those kind of spaces.
Exactly. And I definitely think it helps that they're all from different industries. Like I'm the only kind of retail technology company, but it's so nice to hear their stories because they are kind of similar. The marketing side of things, social media. I actually helped one of the other guys with their social media and things, and they've helped me. They gave me a few contacts and things that they had. And it's just so nice that you can bounce ideas off, but also you can speak to them about how you're feeling, what their struggles are, what your struggles are. And I think it's just a nice way for other people just to understand you because everybody says, you're doing amazing, but to be able to try and explain how you're feeling to other people who are also feeling the same or who have been through it before, it's just such a relief.
Mhm. Yeah, I resonate with that a lot. I find even in the profession that I'm in, I like venting to my coworkers because they're the only ones that really understand. So, yeah, I completely understand that. When you look back on the past 2 years, and obviously there was a lot of trial and error of getting things ready, you had to teach yourself a lot of things before you can execute them.
Yeah.
In hindsight, is there anything that you would have done differently so far?
Good question. I probably would have watched more business webinars sooner, a lot sooner. I mean, I only started about 4 months ago, listening to them and partaking in them. So I would definitely do that before. I'd probably have gone to more like business networking events just to meet new people, gain contacts, and obviously gain experience on how they launch their products because a product launch is so important. Where for my first Our Affections app, obviously I kept it under wraps. So I didn't actually advertise and launch until the app went live because I actually kept my app a secret throughout the year that I was developing it. Only about 8 people knew that was going to launch this app. And then all of a sudden on the 1st of September, I literally announced it all over social media and it hit the news then. And that was kind of like the go point. So that's everyone found out on the same day other than those 8 people. So I think I would have liked to advertise it a bit more in the lead up to the launch. But
And
again,
get
I
people
don't.
excited because
Yeah,
that's a big
exactly.
miss of marketing is getting people excited,
Yeah,
like, "I'm creating something," and, like, giving them the behind the scenes of it.
yeah. Well, that's the thing, and I thought I was so young and I didn't do that. I did that for my web app that's launching soon, and I'll do that for that. But again, think I just wanted to protect the idea as much as I could because I didn't want the idea to get, reused and things like that before I launched my app. I wanted it to be the new thing. So again, that's why I was quite protective over it.
What's been your biggest win and biggest failure so far?
My biggest win would probably winning these global business awards just because there was major companies, billion-dollar companies that I was up against. I won the Golden Bridge Awards in San Francisco, the Gold Award, and for Startup of the Year IT software. So that was like a
So
massive,
cool.
massive thing.
Congratulations. That's
Oh,
awesome.
thank you. So, yeah, some of my press things like BBC News and obviously the NTAs I've shortlisted for the event in September. Those are kind of my highs. And then probably my lows, probably the rejection from that brand where they literally replied to the Dragon's Den comment because I thought, A, who do they think they are? They're not a Dragon's Den. They haven't achieved what I've achieved. They'd sat there and they're telling me that. I was a bit like, wow, like I wasn't asking for rudeness. I was very polite in my returned email to them after they'd said that. But that was like a massive kick in the teeth. Not the fact that I got rejected, it was the fact the way that they handled it.
Mhm. You just think it was just like, why the extra rudeness? So you like, that
Yeah.
feeling that you have inside of you, like, that was a big low moment
Yeah. I was like, what have I done? Like,
to, like,
I
deserve your
yeah, I was
rudeness.
very polite, I even helped them out, and then I just literally got that. I sent over examples. I took time, an effort, displaying all nice and everything like that. And then I got that. So it's a bit like, okay,
Ugh,
but
just a
again,
down
that's what I
day.
find hard is biting your tongue because obviously,
Better you than me, Rebecca, because I
yeah,
don't.
no, because obviously I would never say that or do that to someone else. But then you've got a reputation to keep, you can't be the one to, and that's what the hardest thing that I've learned is because before, if I didn't like anything or if I didn't agree with anything, I could speak my mind. But here, I'm protecting my baby. So I can't, well, actually turn back and say, actually, that's rude. You've got to, because again, like they'll see it as your age, you're being immature. So you've got to be very careful. You've always got to play the
You
game.
have 2 strikes against you. Your age, so you're always mindful of that,
Yeah.
but also your gender. So as women in this field or in any business field, we are always worried and hyper aware of how we're perceived emotionally, because if we get angry about anything,
Yeah.
we're pegged
Yeah.
as crazy, we're pegged as aggressive, bitchy. But if a man does the exact same thing, they're
It's
confident,
fine.
assertive, they're
Yeah.
in charge, but we're not allowed to get upset about anything, and especially
Yeah.
because of your age, the first thing they're gonna say is like, "Oh, these Gen Z. Oh, these people, they're so entitled at this age," right?
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
you can't get upset
100%.
about anything anymore or stand your ground on
Yeah.
anything, and that pisses
Yeah,
me off.
100%. And I think also, like in the UK, especially, the younger generation are sometimes known for rude, entitled, and things like that. So I think that obviously doesn't bode well for me either. But like, I'm the most down to earth person, but I just want to be taken seriously. Yeah. And I want the same chances that a 50-year-old man would have.
Who do you look up to as inspiration as other tech founders?
Other tech founders, I'd probably look at the dragons on Dragon's Den. They've actually got a recent new dragon, and I was on a business webinar with him. And it was a young guy. I think he's Forbes 30 under 30, which is another list I'd love to get on, not for the money or anything like that. It would be more for success. I think that's a
Yeah,
massive achievement. I've got
I
9 years to do it. Fingers crossed.
you'll
I
do
just
it.
think I know. I just think it would be amazing. Having your name on that list, that's a new kind of level. That would be amazing to say that you've grown your company that much. Yes, those Dragons Den, all the dragons would inspire me, but also David Attenborough, I think, for an environmental side of things. I've actually got a letter from David Attenborough, like a
Why?
handwritten,
For what?
because I let him know about my app and I wrote to him and he replied.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
What did you
have
write him
the
about, and what
written.
did he say?
I told him all about my app, about the environment, and how I'm trying to create change in the fashion industry like he did by doing his TV documentaries. and he congratulated me and he just said, that's amazing. He doesn't obviously know a lot about technology, but he said that he'd check it out and it was great. And that I should be proud of myself. But I think the main thing for me was like it was on proper headed paper, his reply. He hand wrote it as well,
No
like
way.
signed it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I literally got it. Yeah, it
Cool.
took him like a month to reply as well. Like I'm not many people can say David Attenborough's personally written to them.
That's insane. I love that.
Yeah.
What I gather from you is you go for it. Like, whatever you wanna get done, like, I don't sense any imposter syndrome from you at all, which is good. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
I'm sure you do in certain ways and whatnot, we all do in some aspect, but you're like, "Well, this is my idol. I'm just going to write him a letter." Like, you just
Yeah.
do it. And so many people
Yeah.
stop themselves from doing the things that they wanna do. They get caught up really quickly in when someone gives them negative feedback, when someone says no to them, when someone doubts them. They take that and that's what they run with instead of saying,
Yeah.
"No, I don't agree with what you're saying. I'm gonna do it because I want to, because I'm inspired
Mm.
myself." But it
Yeah.
seems that's how you're running with things.
Well, yeah, no, 100%. And I used to think rejection, that's it. Like I'm a failure and all this. But actually, there are millions and billions, in loads of different clothing brands that are around the world, even though if 1 in 50 want you, that's still one, and you've got thousands and millions of others. And I think I've learned to deal with the fact is that's fine, move on, get over it and on to the next thing. And I think luckily, I'm quite good with just moving on, getting on with it and starting the new thing. I try and distract myself with something new. And I think once I'm distracted, that's fine. It's done. It's over. Sweep it under the rug. Let's get on, move another one. And I think that's a great attitude to have in some respects.
How do you take care of yourself during the down days? Like, when you get that rejection
Mm.
letter, when someone says your company sucks or doubts you or says, "No, this idea is never gonna go
Yeah.
anywhere." How do you deal with that?
I
You
actually read a
cry?
lot.
Like I
Oh,
would.
yeah, some days, I think also it's like emotions and things. And some days you just think, why? Why am I doing this? Like, and you do question it. But again, like it's only literally like an hour and then you snap out of it. I normally go for a walk or like watch some TV. I do something totally different. I normally find myself looking for holidays, to be honest. I love traveling. But
That's a good way to
I
do
do,
it.
yeah, I do something that will just literally change my headspace. And then I'll actually read a lot of like inspirational quotes. Then I read some of them and I've got reminders, they pop up on my phone like every hour. And then when I see one of those and think, actually, no, you can do this. And they are what inspires me to get on and move on to the next thing. I also have like this, I guess it's like a mood board of where I want to get to. And I have images on it and it's like my screensaver. And then I look at that and that reminds me of why I'm doing this.
Yeah, I feel that. I wanna do some sort of mood board. I've seen a lot of people do make a collage on Canva like you would on paper, but do it on Canva
Yeah.
and put it as your computer background screensaver.
Yeah, that's what I've done. Yeah, I did it actually on around New Year because I thought, right, let's start
Did you do it in Canva?
2021. Yes, I did. I'm gonna update it, I think. But I think it was, yeah, it's just amazing. It's a
It's
great
pretty easy to
tool, isn't
create,
it?
hey?
Yeah, definitely. I also want one, like I want a massive one on a wall.
I'm curious about these reminders on your phone that you have set up. Is that an app or, like, have you put it as a
Yeah.
reminder?
So it's an app. I think it's just called Motivation. It's free on the Apple App Store. And you choose which quotes you
Cool.
want to receive. And then, so I chose the hustling one. And there is a paid version, but I use the free one and I use the hustling one. And you can change it up every now and again. And you can tap to get reminders. I personally chose mine for every hour, but you can get them like every 3 hours, every day, every 6 hours. But yeah, I just think it's amazing.
Love that. I've
It gives you
never
that
heard of
little,
this.
yeah, no, it literally gives you that little pick me up because when you look at it and think, that's why I'm doing, this is why, and it
Love that.
inspires you and motivates me. It gets me going. And then I'm like, yes, I can do that.
I love that. I wanna ask your opinion. What companies in either the virtual reality space or the retailer space, which companies do you think are changing up how we do things? Like, what ones do you think are killing it out there?
We've got a British one called InStyle. I think they're changing it up
Yes,
because
InStyle is very
they,
cool.
yes, they use influencers
They
to
do.
promote their clothes, which I think is a really smart, and it's moving with the times because everybody is trying to become like a fashion influencer. Everybody relies and cares about what influencers think. They're looked on so highly in society. So I think that is a great marketplace. And also it sets them aside from everyone else, because the other clothing brands have like one or two main influencers, don't they? That is like the face of their brand. Whereas this company have all different. And I'd love to create a collection with them. I'd love to bring out a collection like in years to come. That would be amazing.
So my job previous to real estate was, managing influencer marketing for a big global brand.
Oh, was it?
So you're
Yeah.
preaching
Oh,
to the
wow.
choir on influencer marketing. It's my bread and butter.
Oh, yeah. No, that was amazing. Oh, I'll have to get some tips of you
I
how to
can share
create it.
lots.
Yeah, definitely.
You
That would be
know what
so
I would
cool.
think would be a really cool company long term to partner with? Which
Yeah.
company in retail that I think is killing it is, Amazon, The Drop.
Okay. Yeah.
So Amazon has this other fashion section called The Drop, and what they
Yeah.
do is they partner with fashion influencers to make a capsule wardrobe, but there's
Oh,
only limited
wow.
quantities. So
Yeah.
basically, they sell for 30 hours, and it's so
Wow.
cool.
That is so cool. That
Yeah, you'll
must
have
be
to check it
so
out.
cool. Yeah, Amazon the drop. Yeah, I definitely will do. Thank
It's
you.
a
No, that
fantastic company. And then
yeah.
other companies, I think yeah, I agree. I think InStyle is doing really cool stuff. I like what Like to Know It is doing. I think that's really cool.
Oh, I don't think we
Um,
have that one in the UK.
no, you definitely do. I follow so many
Oh,
UK
do we?
influencers.
Oh, okay. Right, okay.
I think you
I don't
do.
think
It's
I've
I
heard
think
that
it's
one.
similar to that InStyle shop style stuff. I think it's similar.
What's it called again? Sorry?
Like to Know It. So basically,
Like
when
to know.
influencers post photos of their clothes, if they go to their Like to Know It profile, they can see all the links of where the clothes are, and it'll be like all affiliate
Oh,
links.
oh, I don't know that. Oh, I'll have to check that one out.
I know, you
Okay,
will.
thank you. Yeah, no, I will do. Thank you.
Yeah, I think those are really cool. And then in the virtual reality space, I don't know many companies in that space.
I know there's a few like German brands, a few I think Iranian brands, Turkish, but not
Yeah.
really. I think what's the other one? I can't think of the other country now. It's not America, Israel. Israel, that's the
Yeah.
one.
They have a
But
lot of great tech companies there.
I don't think there's many UK ones.
Couple last questions I have for you before I
Yeah.
let you go. The first question I have for you is what right now is something that would help you grow your company, but you do not know anything about? So something like kind of what's the next thing that you probably need to hire for? What's a blind spot of yours that's preventing you from growing your company?
Probably knowing which advertising and which marketing methods other than social media is the best to use. Obviously, I've grown up with social media, so I kind of like know a tiny bit about it. And I grew my personal social media for a few years. But again, it's trying to know what other advertising methods there are out there to reach more people and reach more clients, customers. That would probably be like my one thing that's like
Well, I'll
holding me
give
back
you
at the
the
moment.
answer right now. I have a marketing background. Stick to what you know.
Yeah.
Don't do traditional right now. TikTok,
Yeah.
Instagram, but especially TikTok.
Yes.
Start making videos on TikTok so people know what you're
Yeah.
talking about, influencer marketing, that kind of thing. Stick to what
That's
you
the
know.
one in. Yeah. No, I definitely will do. And I've done a few like TikTok video,
Cool.
but again, like they take ages to create, don't they?
They
So it's trying to
do.
find that time to like get the content. But definitely I need to create more. I've like created a couple, they're live, and I've got a few more to go out, but it's
Mhm.
trying to like keep up with that as well,
I
which I
agree.
need to keep on doing.
Yeah, because you'll spend so much money in traditional marketing that you won't be able to measure a huge return on. And especially if you're bootstrapping a lot of
Mm.
it, stick to all online. Stick to,
Yeah.
digital marketing, advertising, Google advertising. Just get people talking about you.
Yeah, no, definitely. I will do. No, I think that's a great thing. And I definitely will get into TikTok over the
Mhm.
summer and see what I can create.
You're creative. You've created a company for God's sakes. You're creative. Oh my god.
Thank you.
So, what's next for the company? What's kind of the next 6 months look like?
So the next step is the web app should be launching within the next kind of like couple of weeks. And then obviously within the next 6 months, I look to partner with more clothing brands integrate the app into clothing brands' websites. And that's kind of my main push to get as many clothing brand partners as I can, and then get it integrated into as many clothing brands' websites. And then also within the next like 6 months to a year, I want to utilize my web app for my own personal use and create a clothing brand to obviously be able to integrate the web app into. Because again, I think I've got this technology, I might as well create another revenue stream because the clothing brand and the app would link in so well. And I think with this new technology, it would be like a waste not to, if that makes sense.
That's
So I
fair.
think,
It's smart vertical integration for sure.
yeah, and I think it's the best way to try and integrate it and build my company.
Agreed. And then the last question I have for
Yeah.
you, Rebecca, is any words of advice or any last moment of insight that you would give someone maybe either thinking about going to entrepreneurship or already in it, but maybe at the beginning of it?
I would say take every opportunity that you're handed, whether or not it fits into what you're doing or not, because chances are you'll be able to link it in some way or another. And also never give up. That's my two things I'd tell anyone that's starting their journey, and just good luck.
I love that, especially the consistency. You can't
Yeah.
give up. You need the
No. Yeah.
consistency. You're not going to grow an overnight success overnight.
Yeah, exactly. Now I know why these major clothing retailers take like 8 years to grow to as big as they are. It's a
Mhm.
marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly. And people love to look at you after 5 years and call you an overnight success, even though
Yeah.
you've been working every single night for
Yeah.
5 years.
Oh, 100%
It's always the
definitely.
case. Rebecca, if anyone wants to connect with you further or download the app or kind of follow along with your journey, where can they follow you?
Yeah, of course. So you can download the app on the Apple App Store. Just type in R space reflections. And then obviously all my social medias at R Reflections Ltd. And they're all the same, nice and easy. Just reach out. And then my normal Instagram is Rebecca Mabbett. And then obviously feel free to look at my website, RebeccaMabbett.com, and then obviously rreflections.co.uk.
Rebecca, I still feel like you're lying to me about being 20 years old. Until you told me that on this call, I thought you were my age this
Yeah.
whole time. So knowing that you have so much success ahead of you, and even if it's not this company, it might still be, but the fact that you have this already instilled in you where you know how to launch and get a company off the ground.
Yeah.
Oh, the world is going to be your oyster and I can't wait to
Oh,
watch.
fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Oh, you
I
don't need
really
fingers
hope.
crossed. You're putting in hard work every single day, like the advice that you just gave. You're not giving up, so success
Yeah.
is the only option.
Who knows where it will take me.
I know. I'm excited to watch. Well, Rebecca, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure. I hope you've been an inspiration for anyone in the entrepreneur world or thinking about the entrepreneur world. And I'm excited to watch your company grow.
No, thank you so much for having me. I've really enjoyed chatting to you, and I hope everyone enjoys the episode.